Hello geeks. So today we are going to build a HTML loader. So which you can see in the previous section now. So nowadays if in our web applications, if any web page is being loaded or if any operation is being performed and it is in progress, so we show different type of loaders there. So this is one of the loader which we are going to build today, and the technology stack which we are going to use is purely HTML and CSS for this. So yeah, let's begin with the code. Let me clear the existing code here. We will write it from the scratch. So actually I'm using an online IDE here. You can use any of the online IDE available on the internet, or you can use Notepad++ or Visual Studio or any of the IDE for the front end development. So yeah, let's begin with the code. So we'll first write our HTML tag, then we will write a body tag. Inside our body, we will create a div. Why we are creating a div? So in the beginning of the video, if you have seen the loader, so those loaders were actually three bubbles which were expanding and collapsing in real. So those three bubbles are nothing but div only. We are going to add some CSS on these div to act it as a bubble. Let's add some style to this div. Let's give it as 100 px, height as 100 px, and let's give the background color as red. So you can see uh, one div of which is of red color and which is of a square shape is appeared in the right side preview section. So it is actually starting from the very left, so we want some gap from the left side and the top side for this div. So for that, let's add some style in the body tag. Let's add some margin here. Let's give 10 px. Now the interesting thing is, if you can see, this is a square shape div, but we want something of circular shape. So to make the square shape div, to convert a square shape div into a circular shape, we have to set the radius for this div. So let's set the radius as 50 px, and you can see the square shaped div has now been converted into a circular bubble. So why I gave the border radius as 50 px? Because it's kind of a radius. Radius should actually be exactly 50% of the width and height. So if any square is having length L, then the border radius, if we make the border radius L by 2, then it will become a circle. So Now if we add two more div like this, and let's give the background color as green for the second and the background color as blue for the third one. Okay, but hold on, now you can see all the three bubbles are coming one below the other, but we don't want like this. We want it in a horizontal line. So let's add another CSS here, float left, and we'll add the float left in the second one also, and third one also. So now you can see all the bubbles are now in a single row. Let's add some margin also. It looks like they are very close to each other. So let's add 5 px of margin. Let's add this margin in all the three bubbles. So now our bubbles are ready, but to make it look like a bubble, like it should expand and collapse, and the process should happen infinitely and automatically. We will have to add some logic here. So that logic we will be adding with the help of JavaScript. So let's add a script tag here. Inside this script tag, okay, before that, let's assign some ID to all the three divs, because we will be fetching these elements by ID in our JavaScript to perform operations on it. So now let's take div 1 and assign it into a variable div 1. And similarly we'll do for div 2 and div 3. Basically we're just taking the HTML element into a variable, and then we will perform the operations on these variables. So okay, then one more thing, we are going to add a logic here. So the logic is like there are three bubbles, and it's like all the bubbles should expand and collapse and change the color one after the other. So first red, if you see the three bubbles here, first the red bubble should expand, then collapse, then green should expand and collapse, then blue should expand and collapse, and then this process should repeat infinite times on a fixed interval. At the same time, the color should also change. So uh, the red one will become blue, green one become red, blue will become green, and then this cycle will uh, be going infinite times. So the color will also be changing, and the expansion and compression will also be happening repeatedly infinite times. So to do that, we have to use a built-in function which is available in JavaScript, which is interval, and we have to write an anonymous function inside it. And so now what is this set interval actually? So this set interval accepts two parameter here. One is the anonymous function. This anonymous function will be containing the logic which we want to perform repeatedly, and the second parameter which it accepts is the time interval, like after how many seconds we want to repeat these uh, steps which are written inside the anonymous function. So it accepts basically in milliseconds. So suppose if we want to give 1 second, then we have to mention 1000 here. Now what we are going to do is we want to change the color of div 1. So we will set the color. And let's paste the element to save the time. So basically what we have done here is uh, we have to what we are doing here is we are taking the elements one by one, and then we are setting the style, and the style is background color, and we are setting it into red, green and blue respectively. Now you can see in every second this color are getting changed, but since the positions are always same, you are not able to uh, realize it, because first one is always going to be red. So it should propagate actually. Now first one is red, then second one should become red, then third one should become red. So let's write it here. Second one will become red, third one will become green, first one will become blue, and third one will become red, first one will become green, second one will become blue, and this operation is happening in every second. So now you can see some difference in the previous section. Now we need to add some logic here. So we are taking a variable temp equal to 0, and we are keep increasing it in each and every function call. And now we will be checking here, we divide the temp by 3, then what is the remainder which we are getting. And let's add a switch on this remainder, and then add cases, case 1, and after every case statement we have to use a break. otherwise it will not break and it will execute the second case also even if it is not fulfilling the criteria. So now we have the three cases. Three cases means we are taking the temp variable, increasing it by 1, then we are dividing it by 3 and we are taking the remainder. Now we are checking whether remainder is 1 or 2 or 3. So suppose we are getting the remainder as 1. At that time we want to perform this operation. Now if the remainder is 2, then we are performing this operation, and if the remainder is 3, then we are performing this operation. Let's reduce the time interval here. Let's make it 200 milliseconds. So now you can see the difference here. Okay, now our next the color propagation is happening properly as expected. So our next task is to expand and collapse these bubbles. So for that we will again add some CSS here. Transform, and we will scale it by 2. So mainly this is the CSS which is responsible for expanding the bubble. Now if one bubble is expanded, then other two bubbles should collapse. So whatever, okay, this is the function scale which we are calling, and inside this whatever value we are passing, it will multiply the value with the actual size of the bubble. So suppose if actual size of the bubble is 100 px, so it will become 200 px. If we give it 0.5, then if the actual bubble size is 100 px, so it will become half, it means it will become 50 px. So here we want same thing only. Once the div 1 is expanded, the div 2 and div 3 should collapse, and once the div 2 has expanded, the other two div collapse, and once the div 3 has expanded, the other two divs should collapse. Let's add some more margin here because it is going out of the screen. So we will add some more margin. So you can see now it is performing as expected, but the transformation is not happening very smoothly. It is expanding, collapsing, the colors are also getting changed, but the whole operation is not happening very smoothly. It looks like some low level animation. So how to make it? For that we will have to add another CSS, which is transition. So basically transition is the CSS takes care of it, that whatever transition or transformation which you are doing, like scaling or compressing, so that operation or that transformation, how fast it should happen, that will be taken care by the transition CSS. So if I am giving transition as 1s, it means whatever expansion or compression is happening, it will be done in the time interval of 1 second. So you can see here now the first bubble is going very smooth. So we just need to add the same CSS for other two bubbles as well. So now you can see that it is transition is happening very smoothly. Now we just need to find the combination between the time interval and the transition time to make it perfect. So we can give the set interval of 300 seconds, milliseconds. We can give a transition of 1.5 seconds. So now you can see it is happening much more smoother. Okay, there is some error. Looks like the third bubble is not expanding properly. Let's see what's wrong happened here. Okay, so the wrong is there in our logic. We are taking temp is equal to 0, increasing temp by 1, then dividing it by 3. So the remainder will never come as 3. Remainder will always be either 0 or 1 or 2. Means the remainder is always going to be less than 3. So this was the mistake here. Let's correct it. So now you can see all the bubbles are changing its colors and expanding and collapsing very smoothly. So now it is behaving exactly as we saw in the preview of the video, beginning of the video, when I was showing the preview of this. So this is a kind of a loader which we can use in our web applications whenever we are trying to show some operations which is taking some time, like we are fetching some data from an API, and that API is taking some time, like 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Then we can show this type of loader there. So I'll be uploading this code on my GitHub as well, and I will add the GitHub link in the description of this video. So if you want, you can get the actual code from the GitHub link. So I hope you liked the video and you have learned something from this video. Please like, share and subscribe our channel, and let us know if you want any more videos on any of the front end or back end projects. Thank you.